Competence in ABA. In this lesson, we'll look at the role of competence in the practice of applied behavior analysis. Part 1. ABA professionals only practice in areas where they are competent. We concluded our previous lesson by noting that the principles of behavior are universal. However, it is important to understand that just because the principles of ABA can be applied to any area, does not mean that every ABA professional or paraprofessional has the skills and experience required to work in any area. All ABA professionals, including behavior technicians, are bound by their ethical codes to only operate in areas where they are competent. Whether or not they are competent to practice in an area will depend on factors such as their prior training and experience, as well as the availability of supervision from other qualified professionals. While some behavior analysts may be competent to apply the principles in areas such as counseling or in medicine without supervision, most are not. When we look at examples of ABA such as mama care or food dudes, we are looking at examples of ABA where behavior analysts worked in collaboration with other experts and professionals, that is, doctors and nutritionists, to identify what should be taught. The behavior analysts then used their knowledge of the principles of behavior to develop effective ways of teaching these targets. As you have seen, such collaborations can be extremely successful. Part 2. Some ABA procedures require the active participation or leadership of a behavior analyst to implement. In our previous lesson, we noted the powerful and positive impact of applications of behavior analysis such as functional behavior assessment and comprehensive ABA for developmental disabilities. However, it is important to note that almost all research demonstrating the effectiveness of these applications relates to examples of FBA and comprehensive ABA, where the interventions were overseen by qualified behavior analysts. Attempts to use such applications without sufficient supervision from professionally trained behavior analysts are unlikely to lead to improvements in quality of life. To illustrate this point, it is interesting to look at the use of functional behavior assessment in schools. In 1997, the federal U.S. government introduced amendments to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. These amendments obliged school personnel to conduct functional behavior assessments where students with disabilities engage in challenging behavior and develop support plans based on the findings of the assessment. Unfortunately, schools were not prepared for this new requirement. Staff were not trained in behavior analysis and the requirement was introduced as an addition to existing obligations, meaning that there were logistical issues with its implementation. In Wisconsin, authorities engaged in an intensive 3-year effort to provide in-service training in the use of FBA and BSBs. Following this initiative, a team of researchers led by Richard Van Acker of the University of Chicago investigated the technical adequacy of these FBAs and behavior support plans. They found that the majority of FBAs conducted were seriously flawed. Behaviors that challenge were not identified or defined vaguely. Attempts to identify the reasons why behaviors occurred were hampered by a failure of school staff to conceptualize their targets in behavioral terms. Often, the function of the behavior was not used to develop the strategies in behavior support plans, and a large number of support plans relied solely on the use of aversive strategies to punish students. As you'll understand from your earlier lessons, such interventions lack social validity. The research team's findings are a stark reminder that some behavior analytic procedures require extensive technical and ethical training to implement correctly. On the whole, research findings into the use of FBA by teams that do not include supervision from a well-trained behavior analyst are mixed. There have been promising recent advances in training school and other staff to use FBA methods. However, until there is evidence to confirm these methods, a client's right to an effective FBA and behavior support plan can only be assured with the participation of a professional with extensive training in behavior analysis. Part 3. Intervention packages versus support from a professional behavior analyst. It is important to distinguish between the following categories of ABA interventions. The first category relates to ABA intervention packages for general use. For example, the Headsprout reading program is an example of this type of ABA intervention package. The second category relates to ABA intervention packages designed to be used by a particular professional group. For example, acceptance and commitment therapy is an ABA talk therapy package that can be used by counseling psychologists and related professionals after training. It does not necessarily require extensive training in ABA, though this may be beneficial. The third category is made up of individualized solutions for clients that require the support or direction of highly trained behavior analysts. Comprehensive ABA interventions for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities are an example of this class of ABA intervention. The take-home point of this lesson is that competence with regard to ABA interventions depends on many factors. A behavior technician may be competent to deliver ABA interventions, but not to design them. Similarly, not every behavior analyst is competent in every area where ABA can be used. Sometimes, they may need to collaborate with other professionals or seek supervision from another competent professional. Some behavior analytic interventions are designed to be used by anybody. Others are designed for particular professional groups. Other types of intervention require extensive training in behavior analysis and should only be implemented with substantial support from a professional with extensive training in behavior analysis. Remember this as you proceed through this course.